Good evening and welcome to Roland Cowan Stadium in the QBL Grand Finals for 2017. My name is Regan Baker. We're presenting on behalf of Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. It's been an amazing season so far, and we are coming here with the Grand Finals in the QBL. Before we get into the game, they're just announcing the teams out onto the field. Before the game started today, we actually managed to get out on the floor and have a quick chat with the coaches from both teams. So we're going to quickly cut to those videos first while they're doing the anthem and the player announcements, and then we'll be back with you shortly for some more commentary for the game here. So first, we're just going to jump to the Mackay coach, Carl Teskey, for his insight on the game.
Carl, Grand Finals for the Women's QBL. How are you feeling coming into tonight's game?
Yeah, good. This is why we play. Everyone's excited, keen. It's been a short week from us. Brisbane last week, back to Brisbane, and everyone's ready to go. So we're super keen to get on the court.
Yeah. So the fact that the Brisbane Spartans have come into the Grand Finals undefeated, is that concerning you at all, or you think
not at all? Not at all. One of no illusions, they're the best team in the comp right now. But if we can do the little things right and stick to our game plans, we think we can get the job done. But they're a great team, but they don't intimidate us. No.
Have you had to have any extra trainings this week leading into the finals, or are you just coming out to do your own thing?
No, we've got a lot of experienced players, so it's been pretty light. Obviously, we didn't get back to Mackay till Sunday night, and we flew in here last night. So the one session on Tuesday and a bit of a run through today. So it's been a short week, but it's the end of the year. We don't want to be putting the miles into the legs now. So go over our stuff, a little bit of their stuff, and ready to go tonight.
Yeah, definitely. So is there anything you got to say to your fans back home that are going to be watching the stream tonight?
Yeah, have a good night. Enjoy the basketball. We wouldn't be here without your guys' support all year, so thank you very much, and enjoy the game tonight.
Awesome. Carl, thank you very much, and good luck.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Great words there from Carl Teskey, the coach of the Mackay Meteorettes, one of the two teams in the grand final here tonight. And we're going to quickly jump over to the Brisbane Spartans and their coach, Rebecca Lewis. She also had a couple of words to say before the game as well. So we'll jump on down and we'll have a chat to Beck.
Women's QBL, you've come into the grand final undefeated. How confident are you feeling coming into the game tonight?
Yeah, look, confident. It's important to be confident in obviously what we've done all year. It's been successful. Having said that, we certainly have a lot of respect for Mackay, and we're taking the game plan very seriously.
Yeah, so a tough game against Gladstone last week, which we watched as well on the live stream. What did you take away from that game and bring into the grand final here tonight?
Yeah, look, they're very different teams, Gladstone and Mackay. So, look, I think for us, what we took out of the game as a positive was just the way that we had to fight back, which, we actually faced some adversity, and I was really proud of the way we dug in and found that extra something.
So for all the Spartan fans that are watching from home, do you have any final words before you go into the game tonight?
Look, if you're not here tonight, make sure you're out here tomorrow night, and we'll try and do something special on our home court.
Awesome. Well, Beck, thank you very much, and good luck for the game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're back shortly, guys. We're just going through the anthem now, but we'll be back with you shortly. As always, a great rendition of the Australian national anthem. And thank you to Rebecca Lewis, the coach of the Brisbane Spartans as well, for those words before the game. The Brisbane Spartans coming into the game tonight, undefeated all season. They didn't lose a single game in the regular rounds and haven't lost a game in the semi-final series either. So they're definitely coming in the favourites here. They finished on the top of the ladder as the minor premiers, but the Mackay Meteorettes are definitely not going to give up easily. They are here for a fight. My name is Regan Baker. I'm joined by Dan George and Sid Parsons, import superstar from Southwest Metro. Guys, amazing game that we've got here tonight. What do you think is going to pan out, Dan?
Well, it'll be a great game with two really good teams, and I think at the start of the year, most people would have tipped these two probably to score off in the finals, so it'll be awesome to watch. Two good outfits, and Brisbane undefeated at home with a lot of girls that have played at high levels and won titles in the QBL and the CBL, and I mean, they're the favourites for a reason. But I think from Mackay's point of view, they would have watched the tape against Spartans and Gladstone last week and seeing Gladstone sit in a zone and I guess looking at Nadine Payne and Willie and these bigger girls that they've got, I'm sure that they come in with strategies and ideas that they should at least be confident that they can pull out a win tonight on the road as well against a Spartans team who probably feel all the pressure given the season they've put together so far.
And Sid, you've obviously versed both these teams as well. In particular, what do you think it is about the Brisbane Spartans lineup that has seen them come through undefeated into the grand finals?
Oh, I just think they're such a deep team, such a talented team. But when you look at their roster, they have an incredible starting 5 and then another amazing 2, 3, 4 coming off the bench. And they're just so deep, so talented, and also smart players. And they just work so well together. And they're just really that smart and talented team.
I think that's one of the biggest things that we actually commented on last weekend as well in the semi-finals is when you've got a WNBL player in Odette Isaac coming off the bench, you know you're a deep team, and that was, in the end, that was their biggest advantage over Glass in that semi-final that you and I covered, Dan.
Yeah, it was, and I think a lot of times in women's and men's basketball, you see a team maybe hang for 2 or 3 quarters, but eventually the class of these better teams shows up, and that's what happened last week with Glasson, who played really, really well and competed really hard, but Brisbane just had too much firepower, and that should be the case again tonight. And I think they're really well coached. I think against a zone they're going to have to shoot well, but they've got great shooters, so you'd expect them to do that. And against man, this kind of Dallas system that Rob Scheibner implements that they've run with is really effective and really spaces the floor. It makes it hard to guard. I just think if you're Mackay, I reckon they've got to come in and try and play 15 or 16-second offenses and just really grind it out, because if this gets into an up-and-down game, I reckon Brisbane's skill and Brisbane's depth will be in favour of that. But if Brisbane, have to play defence against Mackay for 15 or 16 seconds and they can dump it inside to Payne and get to the foul line, I reckon that's Mackay's best shot.
Yeah, definitely so. And realistically, I'm sticking by what I said last week. I think this is going to go to a 3-game series. I don't know who's going to win the game here tonight. I'm going to hedge my bets that Brisbane Spartans are going to come out firing. They're going to get up by a couple of points in game 1, but I don't think Mackay is going to let them live that one down. I think they'll come out firing tomorrow night and get game 2. But it's all up to interpretation. Sid, how do you think things are going to pan out?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think it's going to be a tough series. I think both these teams are just going to battle till the end, but I do think Brisbane's going to come out on top, at least in game 1, and I think it will come down to a game 3 series. Both these teams are just so talented and both so different in so many ways, so I think they're really going to challenge each other. But in the end, I am leaning a little bit more towards Brisbane, thinking they'll come out in the end.
Yeah, well, here we go as we tip off, and straight out of the bat, Mackay Meteorettes do come down with the ball with the first opportunity to score. And straight to the rack, no good for Mackay. Brisbane Spartans coming down with the defensive rebound. And immediately turned over as well. So Parham just turning the ball over. Mackay with the second opportunity now early on in the game. Dan, what do you think is going to be the strategy from the girls out on the floor in this first quarter? Is it going to be run and gun, or are they just going to slow things and just play it out over the 4 quarters?
Oh, I guess we'll wait and see. I reckon the first 2 or 3 minutes of most games, there's always a little feeling out process, and that might mean turnovers, it might mean some ugly possessions, and we've probably seen that tonight. And as good as these girls are, like Nadine Payne's played 150-plus games at WNBL, it's natural to be a little bit nervous in a grand final. So the first few minutes is probably going to be scrappy, but I think Brisbane, looking at their depth, looking at the style they play, will try and pick up the pace and get up and down the floor.
As Kylie Curry goes straight to the bucket for the nice inside layup, putting the first 2 points on the board for the Brisbane Spartans.
I'm just so interested to see how the first 2 quarters go. I know the Spartans typically hang with teams for the first half, but Mackay always come out firing. So I'm really going to be interested to see if Mackay take that early lead and Brisbane catch up, or if Brisbane will come out early firing in the first half this game.
I think that's one of the big things that we commented on last week as well, Sid, is the fact that Brisbane is one of the only teams we've seen all season that consistently has 4 quarters of basketball. I mean, Gladstone had them up until half-time. I think it was drawn at half-time, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, it was.
And
yep.
then after
I think
that,
it was 35 all, really low scoring.
Yeah, and then after that, Brisbane just blew Gladstone out of the water, because Brisbane does have such a strong 3rd and 4th quarter.
Absolutely, always. We played them for the final game of the season and for our quarterfinal, and it was the same way. We hung with them all the way up till halftime, and then they just ended up exploding through in that second half, and that's what they're so good at, and I think that's what really separates them from a lot of teams in the QBL. But Mackay is definitely that team that always comes out firing and gets you early, so it'll be an interesting interesting game for sure.
And I think that's the biggest advantage of having such a deep team as well. When you do have, like, you know, your Odette Isaac and other WNBL stars coming off the bench, is even after the first half when your starting five are tired, to see a nice little long three-point shot from Jillian Horton for 3, is when you've got that depth, you can actually run into that third quarter really powering, because you don't feel as worn out as some teams where they really only have 1 or 2 bench players. It is a huge advantage. But not to be outdone, coming down the other end, Parham just scoring a 3 of her own, so Brisbane Spartans retake the lead 5-3. So early off the bat, 2 minutes in, we've already got a couple of big long shots coming for both teams as Mackay tries to go inside. Doesn't quite work out, but turnaround jump shot is good for Willie, but we've got an injury on the floor and it doesn't look too good for Rebecca Haynes.
You saw RJ hit a 3 on that last possession. I think their ability to shoot the 3 is going to be really important. Mackay are sitting in a zone by choice. Gladstone kind of had to play a zone last week. They had 7 girls here, got into some foul trouble, but last time these teams played, Brisbane won by 3 on the road in Mackay, but they only shot 3 of 22 from downtown, 14%. And last week as well, they struggled to shoot the 3 ball, which allowed Gladstone to stay in the game. So if Mackay's going to sit in a zone, if Brisbane can shoot well, obviously it's going to make it much easier for them. But if they struggle again, that's going to give Mackay plenty of opportunities.
It certainly will be a threat if Spartans come out hitting. I know I talked to Aja after her last game, and she had said she struggled shooting the 3, and her biggest focus the next couple weeks was getting her shot back with her shoulder injury. So I know she's been working on it, and I know she's going to come out ready to hit those shots. And you have Ash as well, who can knock down 3s left and right, and Nat Taylor when she comes in. So if they're hitting, it'll definitely be an interesting adjustment for Mackay.
I think that was one of the big things we commented on last week as well, is the fact that the Brisbane Spartans girls did come out with a little bit of semi-final nerves, I think, and they really weren't quite on their shot. To only score 35 points by halftime for the Spartans is very unusual. So they were off their game a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see how they readjust and come out in the grand final tonight, obviously when it really counts. Nice little turnaround jump shot there, goes in for 2 again for Willie. Really performing straight off the bat. She's already got 4 points against her name.
She's such an excellent player, being able to be that stretch 4 and have the shot she has, the mobility. Her turnaround jumper is almost unmatched in the QBL. She's just such a versatile player.
Yeah, definitely so, and I think that's one of the biggest advantages that Mackay has had throughout the season as well, is they do have that versatility. They've still got a lot of WNBL talent and years and years of QBL talent as well in their team, but they are so versatile and they can adapt so well to what their opponent is actually doing on the floor. They don't just play one type of basketball. So a nice little inside play there for Nadine Payne. She draws the foul and will go to the line for 2. The foul going against number 22 for the Brisbane Spartans, which is Ashley Cariatiana.
And Nadine does such a great job of drawing that contact when she goes in there. She has an excellent shot on her, but she's not shy about getting inside the paint, which is a great thing about her game that I always love to watch.
Nadine Payne's first free throw goes in.
It's just such a skilled player. Like Sid, you've mentioned she can shoot the ball, but mixes it up in the post. She just does a bit of everything. And I think the last few possessions, we see her post up. We see Willie down low getting touches. That's obviously the focus point for Mackay, and it has to be. And I think that makes Michaela Cox a really important player, because as this game picks up pace, as the point guard, she's going to recognise that those girls need to keep getting touches. A lot of times you can get away from that, but if they keep getting looks like that, it's going to be hard to guard. But
yeah, definitely so. And that was an amazing inside look as well. Nadine Payne once again going to work on the inside for the and one play.
I think as well for Brisbane, like Rob Scheimer in the assistant coaching seat has won a QBL title and coached at really high levels. Beck's won titles as players too. I think that helps a lot when your coaches are relaxed and have been here before. So this early break from Mackay won't bother them too much. I'm sure Brisbane will make adjustments and come out. And I mean, Nat Taylor plays at the Olympic Games and comes off the bench. What an asset to have. So I'm sure we'll see her soon as well too.
And it was similar to the way the game panned out last week as well, when Gladstone came out with that early lead. And I think we said the exact same comment, that it's not going to bother the Spartans if their opponent actually does get up in that first quarter, because their game is the long game. They play 4 quarters of basketball. So an early lead for Mackay in this first is not going to scare them, as Willie goes inside yet again for an and one passage of play. She is absolutely on fire in this first quarter.
No, I absolutely do agree with that, and that's like I said before, one of the things about the Spartans that make them so enjoyable to watch is they'll be down a few points, you know, as many as 10, I think, and they'll just come back and always make it a game. So, you know, getting an early lead for Mackay in the first quarter is a great start for them, but I think the Spartans are a very patient team. And definitely not to be counted out early.
Yeah, definitely so. As Tammy Willie makes the free throw as well, extending the lead out to 8 points for Mackay. But as we said, Brisbane Spartans will not be too afraid of that. They're going to find themselves getting back in this game quite quickly, though they are already finding themselves in foul trouble early on as well. 4 fouls in the first 4.5 minutes of play will be a little bit concerning, but nothing too serious to worry about. Spartans maintaining possession on the baseline for the inside play. Got 14 seconds on the shot clock. It's a nice, strong inside drive. Doesn't quite go where she wants it to go.
Great hustle play there by Tammy Willie.
Got another long 3-bomb. That one's no good either for Michaela Cox. Managed to pull down the offensive board, though, so Mackay back in control. Only 7 seconds left on the shot clock, needing to go to work. Cox kicks down to Horton. Horton goes for the long step away 3-point shot, and it's good. Mackay firing in the first quarter. 5 minutes in, and they're up by 11. Spartans with it now as they take their time as well, which is good to see that they're not getting frustrated or upset about the fact that they're 11 points down. They do still seem to be playing their own game of basketball. No board there, unfortunately. Mackay coming down with the board. But I think Spartans are just going to continue playing their own game. They are a very composed team. As Spartans once again find themselves in a little bit of foul trouble. That'll be the 5th. And that also going on Ashley Cariatiana, so that'll be her 2nd personal so far. Not a good position for Spartans.
No, not at all. Having her early foul trouble is not the best situation for them early on.
No, it's not a good situation at all. And like Brisbane take a timeout. Shives looks perplexed, as often does. But I mean, great chance for Mackay. 4.5 minutes left in the quarter, and they're in the bonus. So if they can just keep going to the rim, they'll be living at the foul line for the next 4.5 minutes or so. But they're doing a good job junking it up. They were in man on defense that last possession. It just makes it hard for Brisbane to get into rhythm when they see a zone. Then the next set they're in a man, and just makes it tough. But anyway, good timeout from Brisbane to recompose and figure out what they're going to do here.
Yeah, definitely so, and I think that's a good point as well, is Mackay is playing a really aggressive game of basketball, and they're driving at the Brisbane defense. And it's simple plays like that where they've actually worked out that the referees are going to call that kind of thing, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad call from the referees. That's just the way they want to control the game. And Mackay's going at it. They're driving down the center of the key. They're intentionally looking for those defensive players that are a little bit off balance to draw that foul. And look, it's worked. It's a 5-0 foul count. And I don't disagree with that, as a lot of fans probably would hear from Spartans. But the fact of the matter is Mackay's playing an aggressive inside game of basketball, whereas the Spartans are playing a much more slower, methodical game down their end, passing the ball around. And there's not really been a driving opportunity where there could have been a foul.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I think Spartans seem to go a bit more at it. Mackay has come off more aggressive, and they're absolutely getting rewarded for it right now.
Sid, we often talk every week on our broadcast about playing with purpose, as Nadine Payne crashes the glass really well.
A little overactive.
On the first shot, but like what kind of structure? We love when teams come out and execute plays and run sets, whereas oftentimes we watch games and you can't tell what teams are running. So I think for Mackay, they've come in and said, we're playing against an undefeated team. They've been the benchmark all season. We have to play really disciplined basketball, and so far they've executed really well. But the challenge obviously is to do that for 4 quarters. Doing it for half a quarter is awesome, and they've been rewarded up 22-7, but trying to stay with this and do it for the match, or for 3 games over the whole weekend is the challenge that they've got, but so far they're up to it.
Yeah, as we see, nice another inside layup there from Mackay, extending the lead out to 15, and with an amazing steal as well. No good, though, on the inside layup. That one just bounces out. Michaela Cox not looking too happy with herself there as her missed open layup comes down the other end, and Spartans get the conversion.
Great drive by Kalani Purcell there.
Active hands from the Spartans.
As Aja Parham just asking for the ball there on the out-of-bounds play. I don't think the referees are ever going to fall for that. It will stay with the hands of Mackay. 17 seconds on the shot clock. As No, sorry, that's not Nat Taylor. Carly Curry taking a check out for the first time, and Odette Isaac checking in as well. Much earlier check-in for Odette Isaac this week compared to last. I don't think she came until the second quarter last week, Dan.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when, but we spoke about it during the Gladstone game. I thought that was down from Willie, but like Odette, like you mentioned, Regan, that her regular season started slow, but she just got better and better as the year goes on, and like gets used to playing basketball again. But she's the kind of girl that could easily come out and have a 15 or 20-point night in the finals, and it's great to see her on the floor early and part of the action.
Nice little inside play there for Mackay. Nadine Payne going up for the inside jumper. Can't quite get it to fall in. But once again, the Spartans finding themselves in a little bit of foul trouble. Odette Isaac coming straight off the bench and getting that foul. It takes them up to 6 for the quarter so far. And as you sort of said, the coaching staff of Spartans looking a little bit perplexed about what's going on defensively for the Spartans. They're all over the place.
So do you girls set targets defensively? Like I know this is a while ago now in terms of when I was playing, but you would say in a 10-minute quarter, like a 16 or 18 point, from a defensive point of view, is about the most you want to give up to be competitive. So 23 points in 7 minutes is way too much from the Spartans. Do you have targets, or what do you think is a good number?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends on where exactly we played. I mean, here at the QBL with our last team, we tried to limit to 15 to 20 points a quarter, which I definitely think is doable. Over when I played in Germany, it was 15 points a quarter.
15, did you say?
15, yeah. Games are a little bit different over there. I think it's a more of a system passing game over there, whereas here it tends to be more of the run and gun. So I think holding a team to 20 points in the QBL, 15 would be great, but 20 I think also is doable and a good number.
Yeah.
But anything above 20, I think that's when you start to get yourself into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Well, so these girls have played once only this season, and it was a while ago, going back to the start of June. But Mackay had 77 for the game, so 23 in 8 minutes obviously is more than Brisbane want to give up. But.
Absolutely.
Yes, Maddie Allen gets an amazing block down one end of the court. Spartans not able to convert. Kalani Purcell goes strong
nice
on the
move.
inside with the right-hand step. O-board for herself and with the putback as well. Spartans finding some form here late in the first quarter. They get themselves back down by 12. But still a little bit of work to go for the Spartans. 23 points, as you said, Sid, is quite a lot to give up in the first quarter in particular. You would like to find yourself in a much better position early on. What do you think it is in particular that Spartans are doing? Is it something they're doing wrong defensively, or do you think Mackay's offense is just incredibly perfect tonight?
I just think that Mackay is doing such a good job being the aggressor and pushing the ball up the floor. A couple of those possessions, Spartans didn't even have time to get back and play defense. When they push the ball, I think that puts a lot of heat on the defensive end. I can't see anything the Spartans are really doing wrong. Mackay is just really working the ball around well, being aggressive and attacking the basket, and I think they're getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, as we see once again, Nadine Payne being incredibly aggressive on the inside, just picking up the travel. Doesn't seem real happy with the call either, though, but there was a little bit of a shuffle there before that contact on the shot. Running out of time on the shot clock as well. So Spartans with it now, down by 12 with an opportunity as Odette Isaac handles the ball and passes inside to Kalani Purcell. Kick out to the far left wing for a wide two-point shot, and that one falls in.
I would just love to see the Spartans be a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end. It looked even then as they drove in, they hesitated and pulled it out, where I think they have such strong players and especially offensive threats here, and it seems like they're on their back foot a little bit, getting into the paint. I'd love to see them go back to being more aggressive and getting inside and really pushing that ball up like they really can do.
And from the Spartans as well, it's good to see some of the young talent on the court early as well.
Nice
And Jess
pass.
McDowell-White, she's already got the 2 points. She's pulling no board. And the Spartans going inside strong as well to Nat Taylor, bringing the lead back down to only 8 for Mackay. So the Spartans really are finding their form now late in this first quarter. As Mackay not real happy with what they see on the floor. They have lost that 15-point lead down to 8. So they've got a timeout on the floor. So we're going to take one as well. But we'll be back with you shortly for more live QBL Grand Final action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And welcome back to Roland Cowan Stadium in Carina as we bring you the Game 1 of the Women's QBL Grand Final, 23-15. The Mackay Meteorettes coming out strong in the first quarter, getting themselves an early lead, but the Brisbane Spartans fighting back in the last minute and a half. They've really found their form, and they're actually getting a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end as well, leading into the end of the first. Spartans, nice offensive passing around. Can't quite get the ball on the inside as Kalani Purcell. Maddie Allen with the offensive putback for 2 as well. Spartans are coming to get Mackay late in this first. Sid, it's been quite a while since I've played a game of basketball, but what goes through your head when you have a 15-point lead and within the space of 2 minutes, you turn that around to only 6 points? Do you think that's getting to the Mackay Meteorettes, and that's why they're turning over so many points now?
I think with the Mackay Meteorettes and how experienced they are, I don't think it would get to them at the moment. I think you have a lot of, really talented and experienced players, so where that comeback wouldn't really affect them mentally, but I just think the Spartans are waking up more than anything. So, I think the game is kind of tilted a little bit with Spartans being a little bit more aggressive now. But it does kind of give you that moment where you're like, oh, we gotta wake back up and push back up again. But I do think with the roster that Mackay has and the experience they do have, that it wouldn't affect them too much. But I think they do need to adjust to the Spartans getting more aggressive again.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of Spartans getting more aggressive, Kalani Purcell going for the strong drive down the left-hand side, picking up the offensive foul. So it is good to see the Spartans playing a little bit more of an aggressive game of basketball and really trying to get to the inside to get the points. But on that particular instance, Kalani just putting a little bit too much emphasis on the drive and picking up that offensive foul.
And just to that point you were talking about a moment ago, I agree with Sid. I reckon pre-game and even in the week leading up to the match, these coaches on both sides talk about runs. And if you're Mackay, you expect Brisbane to make runs, and Brisbane expect Mackay to make runs. So the fact that Mackay came out and played well, that's okay. Brisbane wouldn't have been overly worried. They make adjustments, and then Brisbane goes on a run, and Mackay equally shouldn't be too worried either.
Yeah, absolutely not, as that sees the time run down for the end of the first quarter. I think that snuck up on all of us. So going into the first quarter, it is 24-17, so Mackay have managed to find themselves an early lead in the first quarter. But Brisbane Spartans, as we said, they're such a strong team and a very, very deep team as well. So they'll find themselves fighting back into this game soon, I'm sure early in the second. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you shortly for more as we continue to bring you the QBL Grand Final action from Roland Cowan Stadium, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And welcome back to the QBL Grand Final Series between the Mackay Meteorettes and the Brisbane Spartans. 24-17 at the end of the first. The Mackay Meteorettes fighting out very, very fast early on in the game. Dan, the second quarter of basketball, personally, I believe the second and the third, I think they're the most crucial quarters in a game of basketball because that's when you can really start to make or break your lead in the game. What do you think the Spartans are going to have to do in coming out in this quarter to actually break back this 7-point deficit and get themselves back in front?
I'm not sure there's anything specific. I think they just need to keep chipping away and playing their brand of ball. They were down big early, and Now they're down 7. I think Mackay had 22 or 23 points with, as Odette knocks down a long 2, I think. And they finished with 24 for the quarter, which isn't too bad. So Brisbane's playing much better. And I just think by this stage in the season, you trust your system, you trust the style that you're playing. After 40 minutes, you hope you're out on top.
As Jillian Horton takes a nice inside layup for Mackay, pulls her own offensive board and gets the putback for her teammate for 2. Horton's been such an incredible player throughout the season as well. I think it's been about 6 years worth of refereeing now that I can remember that I've been refereeing Jillian. And she's just such a strong offensive player, and she's got such a nice shot from inside and out.
One thing that I would not be surprised if Brisbane switch up is, especially if Arja comes back on the floor, or when she comes back on the floor, is I think as Odette does a little bit here, just picking up full court and putting a bit of pressure on and making Mackay maybe go to their bench, or at least trying to wear out these main girls that are going to play big minutes this weekend. Like Michaela Cox shouldn't be able to bring the ball up and get it to the rim for a layup. If they want to put some pressure up the floor and try and pick up the pace of the game, I think that's one adjustment they'll make, but otherwise they'll just keep chipping away and running their stuff.
Yeah, as we have 2 turnovers in a row for both teams as well. So starting to fall apart a little bit in terms of turning the ball over and just keeping control. But Mackay now just selling things down a little bit as Nadine Payne goes for the 3, but Maddie Allen gets the tip on it. Brisbane Spartans coming down with the defensive board as well. Odette Isaac lucky to get her hands on that one as she jumps to maintain it. Long 3-point shot as well. Also no good for Nat Taylor for the Spartans. It's a 4-on-2 play for Mackay. Nice fake on the outside. Step aside 3 for Michaela Cox. Sorry, 2-point shot. Extending the lead back out to 9.
What a great little step back shot that was.
Yeah, how nice.
Quick little foul there going against Palvast from Mackay. Little sneaky one. I don't know how much of that was actually on the wrist, to be completely honest with you. It looks somewhat clean from up here.
Not too much
going to reach in like that.
She's so underrated, I think, Palvast. And she's played, I believe, on her national team, New Zealand, as well. So obviously really experienced. Played John Guana, the father of Nothing But Them Media's alma mater, Monmouth College in the States, is where she went to school. But well, she's a great player, offensively and defensively, and she'll play a major role all weekend as well.
Yeah, she's had, I think you're right, I think she has been a very underrated player throughout the season as well. She's a quiet achiever on the Mackay team. She doesn't come out and necessarily score 20 or 30 points every single week, but she scores that crucial 10 to 15 and also picks up a lot of offensive and defensive boards as well. So she really does have a big impact. Just doesn't get the credit she deserves for it.
And that's one of the reasons why I think both these teams are so enjoyable to watch, is you have so many players that are similar to that and have bought into playing that role, and which is so exciting. Any game, you could have any of these players step up and, you know, hit 20, go for big numbers, but they all seem to do their job, bring in those points that the team needs, but just work so hard, offensive, defensive rebounds, and it's just always fun to watch both teams. So I think both teams really bring that in all of their lineups.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Sid. I mean, there's a lot of games that we've watched throughout the season, not only this year, but more so in previous years when we've been commentating for Nothing But Net Media in the QBL, where you do have teams where they have their, 2 or 3 big import players and star players that are doing all the work. And for me personally, I don't find it as enjoyable when you've got 3 studs on the court, they play 40 minutes and they're the only ones doing anything. When you've got a team that's 6 or 7 players deep and everyone has that equal contribution, it's a much more structured game of basketball and a much better game of basketball, which has been the biggest, win for this year in the QBL, is because so many teams do have such a deep strength of players, and it's been really enjoyable to watch.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree with that. And speaking at least from the Spartan side, and I did train with Nadine Payne when she was over here in the Brisbane area, but just having trained with a lot of these Spartans players, as you know, training with them, how good they all are and how hard they work. And, I'm sure all of them would love to pull up for 20 a night, but they have all just completely bought into the role of being a great teammate and doing what's necessary to make their teams win. And I think that's why it's just both teams are so great to watch, because I can see that on the Mackay end as well.
Yeah, the Brisbane Spartans always have had such a strong training regime as well. They're always out here working hard, training hard. Even back when I was playing representative basketball in juniors, you'd always hear about how hard the Spartans juniors are being trained. and how good their coaches are as well. Like, you look down on the bench for the Spartans, and you've got an amazing coaching team, and they would work these girls. They would have such a good structure behind the scenes to get their juniors up. Likes of Jess McDowell-White. I mean, she can't be any more than 17, 18 years of age, and she's out here playing 5 or 6 minutes in a QBL Grand Final.
Which is great to see. You love seeing players like that step on and step up when they get in the game. That's awesome to see.
So with 16 seconds on the clock, the Brisbane Spartans have fought their way back to a 3-point deficit now against the Mackay Meteorettes. Ball's theirs on the baseline. 16 seconds to go on the shot clock. Nice little open jump shot from the left wing for Carly Curry. Just hits the back of the rim and bounces out. Defensive rebound for Michaela Cox for Mackay now with the opportunity to extend their lead.
Great cut.
Yeah, great inside play there and great inside move from Nadine Payne. Hopefully they're giving the assist out there as well, because that was an amazing little inside dish.
Absolutely.
I think, Dan, if there's anyone that we should be talking to about the training structure and the coaching teams for Spartans, I think it's you. So how good is it to train as part of the Spartans program, and how do they look after you out on the floor?
Well, I don't. I know there's a lot of maybe Spartans people listening or will listen back to this, so of course I'll be complimentary, but it depends who's coaching. There were years here where I played and the women's team hardly trained at all, and then there are other years where their trainings are intense and very professional, so it depends entirely on who's coaching, but that's true with every organisation. Like, I'm sure, like playing in Geelong and playing in Hobart for a number of years, like, it was incredible, and it was as professional as an environment as you could find. Whereas if there was a different coach, it would be totally opposite. So I think the product that we're seeing on the floor for both squads isn't so much to do with the association, it's just to do with the leadership that's sitting on each of the benches. And Beck Stevens and Shibes and obviously the Mackay staff have obviously done a great job all season long, which is the whole reason we're watching these two teams tonight.
Yeah, and that's credit to the Mackay coaching staff as well. I mean, Carl Teskey's been around for years, not necessarily just at a QBL level, but he's done some amazing things as well. And throughout my QBL career, I've coached Carl Teskey refereed Carl quite a few times. And it is a really strong development program up there in Mackay. They do have amazing leadership. As Sarah Storshaw goes for the right-hand hook with a big rejection coming from Aja Parham.
And just getting back to this game for a second, we spoke earlier, pre-game or in the first quarter, about, especially with Mackay going on a run, maybe there's a bit of false security that comes in. I reckon they need to just get back to grinding it out, making Brisbane play defense for 14, 15 seconds every possession, because as this game gets a bit longer, as it gets quicker and quicker, in my opinion, it favours the Spartans and their athleticism and their depth. It's now a 2-point lead for Mackay. I reckon they've got to come out and just start running offense with purpose and make sure that Payne and Willie get deep touches every possession and make Brisbane play defense, slow this game down.
Yeah, well, it's been a very different game, especially from Mackay in this second quarter. They've gone from only getting one foul in the first to now they're the team in foul trouble. So their defense has changed. I think that's the Spartans being a little bit more aggressive in this second. To see Kalani Purcell take a long 2-point shot from deep. But it is a very different game. Spartans are being a lot more aggressive offensively. And Mackay, they're just lapsing a little bit on their defense, and they're just not getting their bodies in position on time. It's a nice little turnaround jump shot there as well from Mackay, as Tammy Willie gets her extra 2 points on the board, almost at a double-figure point already.
Great drive.
Yeah, Aja Parham, nice little inside move as she gets the 2 points and one. Drawn at 32 apiece with the opportunity to get in front for the first time. So Aja Parham goes to the line for the one.
I do think it's interesting to see how the game is almost completely flopped from the first to the second foul-wise, but I just think the Spartans have gotten a little bit smarter in terms of their defensive end. You watch now how they're pulling their hands back and not leaving it up on every shot and just being smart not to bait that foul, and it seems like they've really adjusted defensively.
I agree, and I reckon Mackay playing a bit quicker. There's a few more turnovers. There's more rebounds off the defensive glass for Brisbane, which lets them get out and run and put pressure on the rim, which also leads to, like, Aja getting to the line in transition, whereas in the first quarter you didn't see that, primarily because Brisbane was taking the ball out of the hoop.
Then a nice inside move there for Ashley. She gets another 2 points, extending the lead even further for the Brisbane Spartans as they really start to dominate in this second quarter.
Such great poise by Ash on that last drive. She was going forward, had Maddie on the dump pass, had Nat sitting out on the three, and she just turned that corner at the right moment, and it just really paid off for her.
Mackay with it now. Nadine Payne, nice little shot fake. Strong drive on the inside. Flips it up left-handed, asks for the foul, doesn't get it. Aja Parham now with a nice little inside layup. Pops it off the back of the rim. Ball turning over for Mackay.
And you can see Brisbane with that pressure that we spoke about a few minutes ago, and it has definitely sped the game up, which is exactly the style of play that they want to run. But here's a chance for Mackay. I reckon they almost need a timeout, but they just need to start, like we said, just grind it out. And you can see them going to a set here to try and get Nadine Payne a look in the post. That's a tough call if that's on Kailani. That's 3 fouls, I think.
Yeah, third personal foul indeed, Dan, for Kalani Purcell. She doesn't look happy with it at all.
She's been playing really well too. Kailani, been on a really nice run. But Maddie Allen, like, we don't talk about her in the pre-games when we do Spartans at all, but every time we watch her play, she's been super effective. So Kailani going out hurts, but like Sid said in the pre-game, just Brisbane's depth is so good. When Maddie Allen comes back on, there shouldn't be too much of a drop-off at all, which is awesome.
I mean, Kalani's been having a great season all round as well. And in the game tonight, she's also had like a really big impact for the Brisbane Spartans. But as you said, losing one player on the Spartans isn't really too much of a problem when you've got such a wealth of players right behind you to fill the spot. And Kalani's already got herself 8 points in the first half of this game as well. She's a second top scorer for the Spartans. But I'm surprised that Ashley Karitiana hasn't fired a little bit more than what we saw in the game last week. But I'm sure that's not too far away. I think she's going to have an absolutely blitzing second half.
I agree.
See another long jump shot from Nat Taylor. That also bounces out. Spartans just getting a couple of misses in a row. And Nat Taylor fighting through some strong defense. Mackay, 7 seconds on the shot clock. Nadine Payne has it. She drives to a couple of defenders, bounces it off the back of the rim, and will pick up the foul on the rebound as well, sending Brisbane Spartans down the other end of the court for 2 free throws.
That's a bad foul too. She's probably frustrated. She's asked for a call herself on a couple of possessions. Hasn't got it, so maybe she's just looking for a call herself, but obviously reaching in is tough. 2 fouls for her, that sends her to the bench, but it's also team fouls, so now it goes and gives the lady you just mentioned, Ash Karitiana, 2 shots, and anytime you're a shooter, to see the ball go in, that can easily get you going, and 2 foul shots could be all she needs.
Yeah, absolutely, and sometimes that's all it takes, is you just got to get a couple of quick points in a row, a couple of things to go your way, and, you know, those hormones are coming into your body with excitement. It fires you off as soon as you get a couple of easy buckets like that, and it really makes you fire up.
One of the things I have to say that I also enjoy really watching from these two teams, and taking Nadine as an example, that last situation is absolutely, she was frustrated. I would have been frustrated in the same situation, and she got her second foul and subbed herself off, and, you know, just so calm and composed, even though inside she's probably so frustrated. But I think that goes for both teams as well. It's been a game of runs. Mackay came out firing and went on a huge run in the beginning. Spartans have caught back up, but you've never once seen either of these teams implode or start yelling at each other. The coaches start to, you know, yell at them and have the players kind of break down with that. And it's just been great to see both teams stick together and fight through both of these runs that both teams have kind of put at them.
Yeah, definitely. As we see an amazing little shot clock buzzer beater there for Palvast. She gets Mackay back down to 1 point behind the Brisbane Spartans. And for those interested as well, guys, feel free to jump on over and check out both streams that are being presented to you tonight by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. The men's grand final up in Mackay has just started as well against the Townsville Heat. Mackay currently leading that game 8-6 as well. So jump on over, watch both streams. We do have both grand finals presented to you here tonight. So stick around, watch both, watch us. It's going to be an amazing night of basketball either way. But there are the 2 streams going. They're bringing it back onto the game here as well. Southern District's playing an amazing game of basketball, pulling down the offensive boards. As the inside layup gets waved away and put down onto the baseline. Beck Haynes working really hard to get in there, and they're going to... So she'll be going to the line for 2 shots anyway, and I think there was a technical foul warning for the Brisbane Spartans bench as well by the sounds of it.
I'm not sure. I think they were just asking why didn't it count. I think they wanted continuation and they were getting an explanation. I don't think they'd be getting it.
Oh, I thought I saw the referee go like no more and sort of did a technical foul symbol, so I'm not too sure what happened there.
I think she fired for the flop warning. I think she was signaling for the flop. Yeah, then the next time it would be a technical. Down on that last possession by Ash, I think.
There we go. Maybe that's what the technical foul warning was for. So Brisbane Spartans getting themselves up by 3. 1.5 minutes to go in this second quarter of action. It's Mackay just struggling to find the bottom of the net here in the last part of this quarter. Brisbane Spartans now fighting their way offensively as well. Amazing putback opportunity, just bounces out for Caratiana. So just over 1 minute to go. Nice little hook pass around Maddie Allen. And Tammy Willie going strong to the bucket for the rebound. She'll draw the foul and go to the line for 2. As we see Beck Haynes checking out for the last minute of the quarter, and Jess McDowell-White checking in.
That is next first personal.
And I just want to come back and touch on something that you pointed out earlier as well, Sid. In terms of the depth of both teams, there's only one player on the floor at the moment that has double digits in terms of points. In a game spread where you've got 39 versus 36, you only have one player in double digits. It really is a credit to both teams and how deep they are and how much talent there is out on the floor. There's not a single player that's doing all of the work. They are such great teams, and they 100% deserve to be here because every player is so incredibly talented.
Absolutely. I mean, have a look at the scoreboard, and right now, how many numbers are lit up with, you know, whether it's 2 points or 8 or 9 or, you know, the 11 points for the leading score now 13. I think that's just a great game of basketball when you have so many players contributing, no matter what it is. That's a great game to watch, I think, where you kind of have everybody involved.
Yeah, and it's not just points-wise as well. Like, looking at the rebound statistics as well, for Brisbane Spartans, you've got the likes of Rebecca Haynes on 6, you've got Aja Parham on 4, you got, I think, 7 girls, like the remaining 7 pretty much on 2 rebounds. And it's the same down the other end as well for Mackay, 3, 2, 4, 4. Everything is being shared so much by these two teams because they are so talented in every single way. 30 seconds to go. Maddie Allen pulling down the all-important offensive board for the Brisbane Spartans as an amazing three-point wing shot for Nat Taylor hits the bottom of the net. She extends the lead out to 3 going into the final quarter.
What a great possession there by the Spartans.
So they've given that one as 2 points, sorry, not 3 for Nat Taylor. So 3-point lead. As Mackay Meteorettes just take a quick shot to try and end the quarter. 2 seconds to go. The final shot goes up, but doesn't go anywhere. So going into the end of the half, it's 41-38, and what a quarter of basketball, Dan. The Brisbane Spartans fighting their way back and getting themselves up by 3.
Well, I reckon we saw Mackay go on a run early, Brisbane come on a run, and it's pretty much a tight game, 3 points of difference. And that's what we were probably all hoping for. Both teams will make runs, and then it'll come down to the last couple of minutes and which team can execute the best. And I mean, if the first half's anything to go by, we're all pretty lucky as basketball fans to watch 2 great teams, and I'm sure the second half tonight and then the rest of the weekend will be equally as good. So it's a great start to what's going to be a really good series.
Yeah, definitely so. So it is half-time, guys. We got 15 minutes up on the clock, so we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. Tune on over to the men's game for the 15 minutes. It's on the Basketball Queensland YouTube channel as well, but check back in with us in around about 10 minutes. We'll have some more commentary for you and live QBL Grand Final action. So don't go anywhere. You've got a whole night full of basketball coming up, but we'll be back with you shortly for more live QBL Grand Final action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And welcome back after the halftime break in the women's QBL Grand Final between the Mackay Meteorettes being hosted by the Brisbane Spartans at Roland Cowan Stadium. My name's Regan Baker. I'm joined by Dan George and Sydney Parsons. Guys, it's been an amazing first half of basketball. Let's have a look through the statistics and how both teams have been performing.
I got it. For a three-point game, you'd expect the stats to be pretty even, and going off the box score, that's what it is. I guess one advantage that Brisbane does have is they're +9 in terms of team rebounds, and that's probably a little bit surprising. They did win the rebound count the last time these two teams matched up as well. And so from that point of view, they're being consistent at least, but you would think with Mackay's size, they would be competing a little bit harder on the glass. But I reckon that is probably partly because the game's picked up in pace and Brisbane can rebound by committee, meaning there's no one that's gone and got them 7 or 8 rebounds in the first half, but there's a lot of 4s and 3s in there, so they're all crashing the glass. And then they're running, which is where they got a lot of their transition buckets from. But if I'm Mackay as well, turning the ball over hurts, and Brisbane's done a great job capitalising on Mackay's turnovers, getting 12 points off those errors compared to Mackay getting 4 off Brisbane's turnovers. So, like we said in the pre-game, I think Mackay need to slow the game down a little bit, play really structured half-court basketball, limit the turnovers, control the glass, and that'll probably come out of them sticking into a zone defence, which is what they did for a lot of the first half. So we'll see if they stay with that or not. But Brisbane, to their credit, like we all expected them to, overcame a sluggish start, picked up the pace of the game, got up and down, and their class and their athleticism shone through, which is why they've got the lead.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, this is where Brisbane Spartans will really start to shine as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we go into the third quarter and the Spartans have themselves a 10, 15-point lead coming into that three-quarter time break. Because typically speaking, the third quarter is where a lot of teams I've noticed this year in particular have really fallen over. They may have an amazing start to the first half, but then they just lose their legs and they come back out of the break and they just don't have that stamina. But the Spartans consistently have just continued to perform.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. When you do look at the stat sheet, they're fairly even. Besides the rebound, which the Spartans are leading almost by 10, but the assist-to-turnover ratio for both teams is fairly consistent. Their shooting percentages are right next to each other. Both have shot about the same amount of free throws, so I think it's really up for anyone at this stage. But at the end of the day, I think it's about who kind of has more power left in the tank to push through in that second half.
Yeah, definitely so. So the third quarter, some say the fourth is a championship quarter. For me personally, through all the years I've been refereeing, I think the third quarter is one of the most crucial as well. If you can come out of that halftime break, 15 minutes sitting down, getting a little bit tired, a little bit lethargic, then you've got a very, very good structure coming into the fourth as Brisbane Spartans come out firing with Ashley Cariatiana coming straight out of the gate and scoring an easy 2 within the first 10 seconds.
Great drive by Ash there.
Yeah, great little inside look as well. And Spartans really just, and that's probably one of the biggest things that I've noticed throughout as well is Spartans in particular have a very good vision for basketball. They've always got their heads up and they know how they play so well. They can always see those open drives and they just get the ball to where it needs to be. With another opportunity now as Spartans hold things up a little bit slower. Cariatiana driving it down the center, drawing the defense. Getting it back out wide on the three-point line closest to us. It just tips out, but Carly Curry fighting her way in for the offensive board. Oh, there was an open cut there as well. Didn't quite get it across to her. She looks for the open three-pointer, just a little bit too short, hitting the front of the rim and bouncing off. But winning the fight for the offensive board is Cariatiana with the 3. That 2 bouncing out and finding the way into the hands of Jillian Horton for Mackay. Nadine Payne going down the line for an open layup on the inside key. Maddie Allen with a strong rejection. And if our stats are correct in front of me, I think that's got to be at least the 3rd block shot for Maddie Allen. It is. She's been having a great defensive game on the inside, getting the blocks.
Maddie brings such a good defensive presence in there, just having her hands up and being so long inside the paint.
Yeah, and Beck Haynes got one of her own as well, and the Spartans have come down with it. Carly Curry with it now on the far side. Just over 10 seconds to go on the shot clock. Spartans needing to go to work. Beck Haynes, jump shot, bounces off the front of the rim, comes down with the offensive board. Claiming the ball was tapped out of bounds, but it will get turned over for Mackay. Mackay down by 5, 12 seconds left on the shot clock, needing to find something to work here. Jillian Horton, nice left-hand drive, just a little bit too strong, bouncing off the back of the backboard.
Like so many teams have had trouble with Brisbane during the season. In fact, every team. That's why they're undefeated, I guess. But I just get the feeling this is a really dangerous few minutes for Mackay. Brisbane's come out offensively, playing really efficiently, running their offense really, really well, getting quality looks, crashing offensive glass. Mackay, a little bit out of their stuff, struggling to rebound, struggling to get stops as a result. I think they really need to be careful here and grind out some good quality possessions.
There's an offensive foul. Interested to see who that one's going against. So I go against 32. Michaela Cox getting the offensive foul. Just bowling over Maddie Allen at the top of the three-point line, I believe.
And I think any turnover is never good, but like you don't mind Michaela Cox coming in, setting a really hard pick, trying to get her big open. If you're going to have a turnover, make it a turnover like that. So at least Maddie Allen's going to look closer next time that they're running that set. It's the turnovers in transition that lead to Brisbane layups that's the problem. That sort of turnover I don't mind if I'm Mackay.
No, and I think Mackay needs something like that as well. They need to get their physicality and that aggressive offensive play back into the game that they had early in that first when they got that quick lead as they fight for the steal there as well with an opportunity. I think they just need to get that aggression back into their game, and a strong pick at the top of the three. You know, that'll give the girls a little bit of heart. So we see Nadine Payne go on the inside for the hook shot as well for 2.
I think that's where, sorry Sid, I reckon that's where Mackay need to go every possession, at least let her get touches. I mean, she was like 10 of 13, something like that when they played earlier in the year. Only has 6 shots. Questionable call potentially, but Nadine Payne has 6 shots in the first half, so only converted 2 of them. They need to get her going, so that last possession obviously is awesome for Mackay, and the more of that they can generate, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think she's up to 8 shots now, but 8 shots coming out of a WNBL player is not enough when it comes to grand finals basketball. So I think you're right. I think every passage of play needs to touch Nadine Payne, and she needs to go to work a little bit more on the inside.
And that's partly Brisbane's, obviously Brisbane have a focus on a couple of girls. Nadine Payne's one of them, but that's why Mackay's got to work really hard to get her quality looks, as Brisbane aren't just going to give them to her.
How hard is Nadine to come up against in the QBL, Sid?
Oh, she's so tough. She just brings so much to the game. She's such a great shooter, and you know, she plays in the QBL as a 4, but she can play as a wing anywhere, you know, if she were playing in Europe or when she plays a WNBL, and she just has that amazing shot underneath her that makes you always have to contest the 3, but then she can just rip and go, and she's super quick on her feet. Also a great defender. I remember playing against her and her blocking quite a few of my layups, so I know she's just a defensive presence and kind of, you know, always there in every way on offense as well. She's a hard worker as well, so she's very, very hard to go against.
Yeah, she really is a great player defensively as well. And I think that's one of the key things. So she does have such a big presence on the inside in the keyway. You know, she's been crucial in a lot of possessions down the defensive end for Mackay. They prevented the Spartans getting into the keyway for those open drives. So she's been implemental in this game defensively, but I just think she needs to get herself a little bit more ingrained into the offensive game for Mackay. She should be getting a touch every single play, Dan, like you said, because she's crucial on that drive to the inside.
Well, she doesn't need to shoot it, for anyone listening, that's not what I mean, but at least get touches, draw some defense, and that helps the other girls get open as well.
Nice inside look for Mackay. Turn around and jump shot, no good for Tammy Willie. Kalani Purcell loses control on the spin move through the center of the key. They do manage to retain. Strong defense from Mackay. Shot clock falling under 10 seconds. So 5 to shoot. Kalani Purcell takes the 3. That bounces off the front of the rim. Carly Curry coming down with the offensive board.
I think that's her 4th offensive rebound of the half already.
Sure is.
So it's just a hold of players. They get the shot clock reset after that offensive board. It reset to 24, not 14. So just getting that fixed up. So Spartans will maintain with a 5-point lead. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. With an immediate turnover and a great steal from Shavana Palvast
nice
as
move
well.
Too.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. Great move on the inside, so she'll go to the line for 2.
First personal for Aja. Shavana Palvast will go to the line for 2.
Been quite a low-scoring quarter this third quarter. I think both teams are playing a much better defensive game than we've seen, especially towards the end of that second quarter. Both teams really coming out strong defensively. We've seen the shot clock fall under 10 seconds, probably half a dozen, if not 10 times, making it very, very hard for either team to score as Mackay converts both free throws. So Palvas brings the lead down to only 3 for the Spartans.
You had those couple unlucky missed layups by Jill in the beginning of the half for Mackay, and a couple on the other end from the Spartans. It's been a good third quarter, but I think they've just both been a little bit unlucky in terms of finishing. That's kept that score a little bit low to start off.
Yeah, as Maddie Allen goes strong on the left-hand side to the bucket as well. Foul going against Jackie Zelenka for Mackay. Maddie Allen now with her own 2 free throw attempts to take that lead back out to the 5 that they had before.
And you do have to wonder going down the line for Mackay. I know the girls are out here, and you can see both teams looking pretty tired right now at the start of the third, and both teams just working so hard. But with Mackay not having as deep of a bench as Brisbane, I wonder if that will be a factor come, Saturday and possibly Sunday for the team.
Yeah, definitely so, especially if it does come to a third game as well. Having a shorter bench and wearing down your starting 5 across 3 games can have a big impact. I mean, obviously, these girls are a lot fitter than I am. I struggle after 1 game. But even after 2 games, especially when you're staying away from home, you're in hotel rooms. I can't sleep in hotels to save my life. So, the girls be tired, and it's really starting to feel it by that third game if it's what it comes to. And going into that third game, the Spartans would definitely have the advantage if that's what it comes to. Pass a little bit too strong from Kalani for the pass in off the sideline. Shot clock falling down to 12. Nice little jump shot there. Doesn't go in, though, from Matt Taylor. But amazing little offensive board and the putback.
That's where Maddie is so good, just having that extra offensive rebound and that extra little bit of energy. That was a great play by her.
Yeah, and I think the Spartans, in particular in this game tonight as well, they've really been capitalising on those second chance opportunities. They've been really fighting for the offensive boards, but more so than just fighting for them, they've actually been converting off them. If I can find the stats here, so they've got 11 second chance points, so they've really been converting on those offensive boards. Mackay only getting 7 in that stat and only 14 points in the paint to the Brisbane Spartans 22. So Spartans really have been going to work down deep on the inside and pulling the offensive board, and it's paying off for them.
Absolutely. I mean, in the first half, the Spartans already had 10 offensive rebounds, and it seems like they've just been already tackling that this half. So I think that'll be a huge factor for them down the line.
I agree, and Mackay being down 3, they must be really happy with that, given everything. That's what they were down at half-time, and they've been crushed on the glass so far in this half and struggled to defend Brisbane, at least compared to what we saw in the first half. And to be down 3 points with 4 minutes left in the quarter for them, I think is a really good result.
Yeah, definitely so, especially when Kalani Purcell, who's been one of the top scorers in the game so far for Spartans, has just received her 4th foul with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. I mean, that's a big win for Mackay, getting Kalani Purcell in a little bit of foul trouble and subbed out of the game.
That's a huge loss for the Spartans. I know they do have that depth, but Kalani just brings that added bit of strength, getting her 4th this early.
And she's got such a good attitude as well, Kalani. Like, she just brings so much joy and strength and motivation to the team. So having her on the bench will make a bit of a dent. Like you said, they do have a bit of depth, so the Spartans will still come out fighting. But not a good position for Kalani coming into this final quarter.
And having Ash on 3 as well doesn't make it that easy to rotate her in either. So I think that's a little bit of a tough situation for the Spartans at the moment.
Yeah, it's Jess McDowell-White. Long jump shot, foot just on the line for a deep 2. Really going to work for the Spartans, making a big impact. Jess McDowell-White has been having such a great game here as well. Being one of the juniors in the Southern Districts program, she's already racked up quite a fair few points in the game. I don't have the statistics directly in front of me, but I think she's on 4 and a couple of rebounds as well for a young player. Brisbane Spartans find themselves in a little bit of foul trouble with that one going against Maddie Allen. So Mackay will walk down the other end for 2.
I'm not sure if I agree with that call completely. I think it was just a hustle play, and I think it's, takes a little bit away when these hustle plays are getting called as fouls. It makes the players have to step off a little bit.
Regan's a referee if you haven't been able to pick that up already. So we have to be very careful with our comments about the officials with him calling the game. But I agree, like those sort of calls are difficult, and especially as a bigger player, and speaking from experience as a post player, if you're hustling after a ball and you get an offensive foul, it's just demoralising, but especially when you walk down the other end for foul shots. But all things given, like Fiona and this crew of officials, week in, week out, I think watching the games, we're pretty lucky with the quality of officials we have. And
yeah, look, and I 100% agree. And, you know, admittedly, it's been a few years since I've refereed in the QBL, but they're always going to make mistakes. And I think overall across the season, coming into grand final time now is, overall, I've been incredibly impressed with this season in particular compared to other seasons. But I agree wholeheartedly with the both of you. I think in a situation where you're going for a rebound and two players just run into each other, it is a little bit tough calling a foul in that situation because you've got a loose ball play where two players are just trying to pick up a scrappy ball. So it is a little bit of a tough call, but I think you're right, Dan. Across the board, it's been an amazing season in terms of the officiating that these guys have done.
No, absolutely. I did think about that comment before I said it. Took it back for a second. I was like, nah, you know what? I'm going to say it. I think coming from as a player, that you always have that little added bit of, you know, looking out for the players more so. And being a referee, you have that second vision as well, going, you know, more in the referee stance. So it's always great to have both perspectives, I think.
And I think along those lines, there's been a lot of contact, I think, let go so far. Both ways, the refs have done a fairly good job of letting these girls play. But Michaela Cox just got called for a very slight touch foul, the full length of the floor away from her basket, on a possession where Maddie Allen had the glass, got the rebound, and that sends Michaela Cox to the bench, which hurts with 2 minutes left in the quarter. But while we've been chatting, I reckon the pace of the game has really suited Mackay. They've done a great job, and they've been able to knock down a couple of perimeter shots. And we've got a tied game here, which obviously they're going to be pleased with, especially with Tammy really sitting on the bench.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong as well here, guys, because we haven't seen a lot of Mackay in the QBL this season for the Nothing But Net Media live stream. But a slower game, I think, coming into the fourth quarter will better suit Mackay. So if they can slow down the pace of the game and just play their own game and play their own offense, I think that'll better suit them. But if the fourth quarter is fast-paced and run and gun, I think that's going to suit Brisbane a little bit better.
No, I absolutely agree, and I think that's how Brisbane tend to play is I think they come out a little bit slower, but their third and fourth quarters are usually always just firing and running, and that's when they run the score up against these teams mostly. So I think if Mackay can find a way to slow it down, that'll be absolutely in their favor.
Yeah, and Mackay is such a composed team as well, and you know they've got such good basketball smarts about them. So if they can get that slower ball game being played, you know, pass the ball around, look for the right offensive gaps down the line, I really do think that'll benefit them. And you know what? It's going to be an amazing last quarter of basketball.
I don't think they know the shot clock here too.
No, Gillian Horton, I think she realized the very last minute that the shot clock had fallen down to 1 second as she takes a rush shot. And a 24-second shot clock violation is definitely not something you want in a grand final. But you've got to comment.
I don't mind it. I know it's not ideal, but like if they're trying to run sets and execute and they're going to go deep into the shot clock and make Brisbane play a lot of defense, I don't mind a violation. And Brisbane go a quick one to try and get themselves the last possession of the quarter, which they should get now. But I don't mind a shot clock violation for Mackay. That was an ugly possession, but if they get a couple of those trying to run offense and get the right girls the right looks, I don't mind it at all.
And I think that's another thing about Mackay that I really enjoy.
Oh, that's a foul.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, Sid.
No, it's okay. It looked like there was just a little bit of a miscommunication on that last play, and rather than just throwing the ball away or, you know, kind of just panicking, they took that shot clock violation, you know, and just tried to work it out, and don't think that mistake will happen again for them.
No, and Gillian Horton proving your point to a T, Sid. She gets a three-pointer to finish the quarter. So she'll take Mackay back into the lead, 52-51 leading into three-quarter time. I don't know what to say. What an amazing finish to the quarter. Mackay, for me personally, really showed what they've got. I thought Brisbane Spartans would have taken it away in that third quarter, but Brisbane came out, and I think they had control of that third quarter. They decided how that quarter was played, and it worked to their advantage to get them back up by the 1 point.
No, I absolutely agree. I do think now that they've been able to slow it down to make it a game. I mean, Brisbane only had 10 points in that quarter, and Mackay with 14, and I think that's what they needed to do to keep this a game going into the fourth quarter.
And I agree as well. Like we said a couple of times, if Mackay can make Brisbane play long defensive possessions and grind it out, I think it suits them really well. And 15, 16 points in the quarter suits them. 10 points obviously is even better if you're the Meteors. And if you're Shive and Beck and the Brisbane Spartans, maybe you bring the pressure up the floor, put on some full-court defense to try and speed the game up a little bit, but I think they want to play at a higher tempo as well.
Yeah, definitely so. So that is the three-quarter time break, so we're going to take a quick break as well. 52-51, the Mackay Meteorettes in the lead for the QBL Women's Grand Final, Game 1 action. But we'll be back with you shortly for more QBL action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. I'm just going to bring it back. And welcome back as we start to commence the fourth quarter in the QBL Grand Final Women's action. Quickly before we do so, I'll give you an update on the out-of-town scoreboard. Townsville continuing to dominate in the men's grand final up in Mackay, 49-35 at half-time. So the Mackay not having as much luck in the men's as they are down here in the women's, in the lead by 1 over the Brisbane Spartans. But swapping back into the game here, Mackay are going to kick things off. But quickly running through some of the stats so far in the game. For the Brisbane Spartans, Aja Parham and Ashley Kariatiana leading the scoreboard for the Spartans on 9 and 8 points respectively. And jumping down to the other end, the Mackay Meteorettes, Gillian Horton on 11, Nadine Payne 12. But Tammy Willie does lead all scorers with 13. So a very good spread of points across the two teams. As we early on, within the first 10 seconds, get a foul from the Spartans. And Nadine Payne on the line for 2. So 2 from 2 from the line. Nadine Payne taking the lead. Sorry, 1 from 2. Taking the lead out to 2 points. Dan, fourth quarter action. I've never played any kind of seriously competitive basketball. How much does a close game in a grand final affect you mentally? And does that impact the way that you play?
I don't think, well,
before you answer that, let's just comment on that amazing shot. Beck Haynes, fadeaway three-point shot with the and one as well. The Spartans have come to play in the fourth.
Huge play.
Yeah, massive bucket, obviously, and Nadine Payne's third foul as well. To your question, Regan, like I'm sure it affects some people, and like some people play really well in a final. Some don't play as well as they do when there's no pressure on, but I think most players love this sort of atmosphere, and you might be a little bit more nervous before the game, but once the ball goes up, it's just basketball, and I don't think that has any impact at all. And in a 2-point game with 9 minutes left in game 1 of the finals, I think these girls are just out hooping, and they're all quality players, and that's what we're seeing. I don't think it has an impact in any game, and there's obviously 2 really good teams on the floor, but in any game, it's going to come down to who executes the best, and that's what we're going to see in the next 9 minutes. Which of these teams executes defensively and offensively, because they've both shown so far that they can play different styles, but Mackay doing a great job of hanging tough and really restricting Brisbane's offense.
Yeah, and it definitely is a great atmosphere here as well tonight at Roland Cowan Stadium. I heard the stats before. There's 560 people in the crowd tonight, the best that the Spartans have ever had throughout the season. So it is an amazing crowd, and there's a lot of cheering and a great atmosphere as well for the teams. So Aja Parham, it goes inside strong for the 2. The score teeter-totting back and forth at the moment. Both teams playing an incredible fourth quarter.
Spartans lead by 2.
So Jackie Zelenka now for Mackay. Dishes off with 10 seconds to go. Strong inside right-hand layup for Shivana Palvas.
And just great possessions on both ends by both teams the last 3 times up and down the floor.
It sure is. You can just see the purpose that they're playing with, and that's probably why they're in the finals. A lot of teams don't play with that. These girls know the kind of shots they want to get, and they're doing a great job of getting them.
Oh, great offense there from Mackay. 3 quick passes in a row. The ball to Nadine Payne for the 2. That's the kind of offense that's going to win you games. Spartans now looking for the answer. Long step back three for Cariatiana. That one's no good. Mackay with an opportunity to extend their lead in the fourth. Nice inside drive there for Michaela Cox, drawing the foul against Beck Haynes. And she'll go to the line for two.
That's her third personal. Michaela Cox to the line for two. Subs for the Spartans, Ash Karatiana takes a seat in that Taylor back into the game.
You've really seen a turn in Michaela Cox for this second half. I think she's a great point guard, and she has so many assets to her game, and I think she's been more of a floor general in the first three quarters, but this fourth quarter she's just come out turning the corner every time she has the ball and really being that scoring threat that she can be as well.
Yeah, she's been having a great game. Those were her 10th and 11th points respectively as well. So she's really had a big turn in the second half, as you said, Sid, and she's been playing an amazing game all night. I think she's been one of the silent achievers for Mackay, as Beck Haynes goes to work on her end of the court as well and gets a 2-point bucket of her own.
Well, I think it's a challenge all really good point guards have, is making sure you run sets and get, in Mackay's case, Willie, Nadine Payne, Palvis, get them touches and make sure that they're involved, but also you've got to recognise when your team needs you to score a bucket as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, how do you recognise that, Sid, when you're running the point for a team? Like, how do you pick and choose those spots?
It's an interesting role to have, and it's changed for me throughout my career, season to season, and where I've played. I know in Germany I really had the role of being a point guard, being a floor general, which I really enjoyed, finding my teammates more than anything and running the offense, and I really enjoyed that. And I also did have on my last 2 seasons in Germany, had to understand when, you know, we needed to have those extra quick couple of points, and it is a hard role to get, but I think when you have the right team that suits it, you find the right time to do it. Over here, I think it's been more of a scoring role for me, but it always changes from team to team that I play on, what kind of role I do need at the time. You know, when to find more touches or when to look to be more aggressive.
This is a lady with a 50-point game on her resume, by the way.
That's the second team foul.
Thank you.
I don't think I've played a single game of basketball. My whole team's got above 50, but that goes to show the kind of quality basketball that I played and why I refereed.
Regan, you've got to restrict the self-degrading comments so much. You're very hard on yourself. But anyway, while we've been chatting, Palvas hit a deep corner three on the last possession, and Arja answers with a massive bucket with a pass shot to come to tie the game back up.
Such a great aggressive drive by Aja, being on the wing, just ripping and attacking. That was a great drive.
Yeah,
well, looking at these matchups too, on paper at least, and Brisbane tonight have done a really good job for the most part, but Willie, Nadine Payne, Mackay's strength is probably inside. So if these Mackay guards like Arja, and we've seen Carly Curry get in there, if they can put pressure on the Mackay bigs defensively, maybe get them in foul trouble, that obviously helps a lot in terms of opening the floor up as this game gets towards the finish, which we're set for a pretty big finish here, 64 all with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, it's been an amazing fourth quarter of action and second half of action, really. There's 64 apiece, 5 and a little bit minutes to go. Nadine Payne with a long 3-point shot, just bouncing out. But I think you're exactly right, Dan. It's going to be an amazing finish either way, because from here, both teams are going to fight for every single possession.
That's tough.
As Nadine Payne picks up, I think, a bit of a soft foul, and that's her fourth as well. So Nadine Payne on 4 fouls is a bit of a big hit for Mackay as well, because if she gets herself into foul trouble, that's big.
Well, it's a big decision for Coach Teskey as well. You could take her out and protect her with 5 minutes left and maybe try and buy a couple of minutes where she can rest, but you also don't want to give Brisbane a chance to extend the lead out, and it looks like he's going to let her play.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to give Brisbane the chance to extend the lead, but at the same time, this game has a real potential to go into overtime. And you don't want one of your star players going into overtime on 4 fouls either. It's a tough decision.
Well, I think what we're seeing is a coach just trusting one of his better players and knowing she's smart enough to play with 4 fouls. And if she picks up a 5th, so be it, but she's obviously more valuable on the floor and they're going to roll with her.
Beck Haynes with the long wing 3. That just bounces out. Nadine Payne, someone she deserves to be on the court as she pulls the defensive board, giving Mackay the opportunity to draw back some of the 2-point deficit.
It looks like the Spartans have gone to a matchup zone, which I think isn't interesting change that Mackay hasn't been hitting from outside as well, so I think it's smart on their part. Just got to hope for the Spartans that Mackay doesn't start hitting those threes.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice inside play there from Palvas as well, though, to tie the score back at 66 apiece. Offense no good for Spartans. Mackay coming down with the defensive board. Chance to take back the lead for the first time in a little bit as well. Oh, Nadine Payne, right idea, looking for the inside
she wanted
pass
to
to
push in
Tammy
the back,
Willie.
I think. Well, that's what Willie wanted anyway. But
Spartans ball on the baseline, and Mackay.
Timeout on the call as well. 4 minutes to go, 66 points apiece. We have ourselves a real game here in the last quarter of the QBL Women's Grand Final. So we're going to take a break, but we'll be back with you shortly for more live QBL Women's Grand Final action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And welcome back from the timeout. 4 minutes to go, 66 points apiece. We have ourselves a grand final that is set to impress no matter what. Brisbane Spartans will be commencing play on the baseline as well. Guys, 4 minutes to go. What are the teams going to have to do in order to get themselves with a substantial enough lead to take this game home?
well, as a post player, I would say look after the ball, meaning limited turnovers and control the rebound count. Whoever controls the glass the best hopefully gives himself more possessions and therefore will get a W. I'm not sure what a point guard's take on it is.
I think a lot of it comes down in the down the line of shot selection. It looks like the Spartans have been rushing their shots a little bit lately. I think some of those shots have not necessarily been the best ones, whereas I feel like Mackay is really valuing every possession, and Spartans are playing great and they're hanging in there, obviously. But I just think they can clean up a couple more of those shots and put them in.
Well, by this stage in the year, everyone's played 18, 20 plus games. And so you should know with 3 minutes left in a final, who do you want to be taking shots? And I think for Mackay, you see Nadine Payne get a lot of touches. Michaela Cox is doing a great job controlling the game in terms of the style they're trying to play. And Brisbane are going to try and do the same thing, but who's going to execute the best? Who's going to run the best quality sets and get or generate the best quality looks? That's probably who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, look, Mackay is the starting five. Every single member is in double digits. So Nadine Payne leads away with 15. But Shavana Palvas, 13, Tammy Willie, 13, and Jillian Horton, Michaela Cox, both on 11 apiece as well. So it's such a well-rounded starting five for Mackay as well. But I think you're right. I think most of those players do need to go through the likes of Michaela Cox and Nadine Payne. And similarly, jumping down the other end for the Brisbane Spartans, I think from my perspective, I really want to see someone like Kalani Purcell, who's on the free throw line now. I want to see someone like her fire up in these last couple of minutes and take a couple of crucial big shots.
Well, that could easily have been her 5th foul as well. Pretty good defense. I'm not sure. That's a tough one to call. I'm not going to pretend to know what the right call was, but pretty good defense, but good aggressive offense as well.
Purcell lines up to take her first free throw. That one's good. And just on that point as well, I think one of the other players that hasn't quite fired up as much as I expected, and who had an amazing game last week in the semi-final, is Ashley Karatiana. So she's having quite a relatively quiet night. She's only sitting on 8 points so far. So I think she'll be another crucial member from the Spartans team to get some touches on the inside and even out deep on the three, because she's got an absolutely punishing three-point shot as well. So I think she might need to take some crucial shots to get them up.
I think that's, who did they call that on? Number 12, really, I think for a second, Nadine Payne, who had her hands in there as well, was very nervous thinking it was her 5th foul. But
That's a huge call from Mackay, putting the Spartans on the line.
sure
and
is.
now they have quite a few players and kind of teetering on that foul trouble.
Yeah, and 3 minutes is a long time. There's a lot of possessions. So a lot of girls sitting on 3 and 4 fouls, which is far from ideal.
Yeah, well, I feel like this is going to be a 10-minute, 3-minute passage of play. Both teams coming down 1 point difference. I think that every single play in the last minute, it's going to be foul, foul, foul. It's just going to be one of those games where this game's going to be won by free throws. I don't think there's going to be any other real way to play it out.
No, I definitely agree with that.
Maddie Willie sorry, not Maddie Willie. I'm starting to think too much about Southwest now that you're here with me, Sid. As Maddie Allen goes 1 from 2 from the free throw line, drawing the score back at 68 apiece. So just under the 3-minute mark, locked at 68 all. Mackay with the chance, but only 7 seconds left on the shot clock. Big inside push there as well. I'm surprised there wasn't an offensive foul called on Tammy Willie. And it goes the other way, and they get themselves a 3-pointer instead. I don't know whether other of you guys saw that, but I feel like Willie got away with a very big high arm on the inside post as well. Referee's just not quite looking at that one. As Aja Parham returns with a 3-point shot of her own. Anything you can do, we can do better. 71 apiece. This game is not going to break away from a deadlock anytime soon, I don't believe. Mackay needing to answer. Jillian Horton inside, can't quite find the layup under pressure as we come into the last 2 minutes fully drawn.
What a great fourth quarter it's been. You've just seen huge turnarounds from both teams in this fourth quarter. It's been so exciting.
Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted from the QBL Grand Final as well. 71 apiece with just under 2 minutes to go. Brisbane Spartans pulling the offensive board. Huge passage of play there for Maddie Allen. Great inside look as Aja Parham going for the inside bucket for 2. She takes the lead with 1.5 minutes to go for the Spartans.
She's coming up huge, Aja, isn't she?
Huge back-to-back baskets.
Yeah, that's a massively important play as well, and that's really going to fire her up coming into these last couple of minutes with some crucial plays.
And a steal.
I'm not too sure whether Shivana Palvast is asking why that one was a foul or why it wasn't called down the other end, but I don't think there's too much wrong with the foul call that was made. Quite clearly just holding onto the side and making that contact.
Just kind of raising her arm to fend her off a little bit.
Yeah, you got to look at what's... Look, I can understand that, but you got to look at who caused contact first. And when you're dribbling down the court and there's a defensive player beside you, 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be the defense that makes that first contact and is going to get called. But Aja under pressure on the free throw line. First one's no good. And second, no good either. Under pressure, Aja Parham just can't quite get the ball to fall.
She might not have missed 2 foul shots in total all season, let alone 2 in a row. And a good look from Mackay. If you lose a game with Nadine Payne taking those looks, you're happy with it. But so far, Brisbane doing a great job of getting themselves to the line here in the bonus. 1 minute left.
Yeah, just under a minute to go. Jillian Horton picking up a foul as well, sending the Spartans to the line. It's be Kalani Purcell. She makes her first though. She's not going to make any mistakes. 74-71, the lead out for the Spartans. Second is good as well. Mackay not going to the timeout. They'll continue to play it through. 4 points down. Mackay needing a bucket here.
Wow.
Rush 3-point shot, but what a huge play from Michaela Cox.
Massive.
I wasn't a fan when I saw her take that shot, but my God, she's lucky that went in.
Massive possession here, obviously.
She delivered.
Really going to work there on the inside. Can't quite get the steal, Tammy Willie, but huge play there again from Willie, almost getting the steal. Maddie Allen inside jump shot with 1 second on the shot clock. Mackay with the opportunity. 20 seconds to go.
Not a great foul, but not yet in the bonus. They had one to give and they gave it, but it gives down 1 Mackay a chance to win it.
Yeah, 75-74, so Mackay's possession, they're down by 1. Sid, what kind of play, if you were a Mackay, would you be drawing up now? Do you hope that the Spartans foul you, or do you go for the 2, or what do you do?
Definitely go for the 2. I think Mackay will be smart here, and they'll run a play, get it in. And I think your best option here, you run an on-ball screen between Nadine and Michaela. Both have had such great games, and I think you can't go wrong with either of those. Whether the ball ends up in Michaela's hands for a layup or whether the ball ends up in Nadine for a dish, I think you're safe with either one of those two, getting the ball in their hands down the line.
Dan, how do you think?
Well, I agree totally. That's got to be the look they go to. In terms of clock management, Sid, you're down 1, so if Brisbane get the ball and they score, it doesn't matter really, but at what point do you go here? If 19 seconds on the clock, how do you manage that?
I would wait till right about 10-9 is when you look to start attacking.
You'll give yourself a chance for an O-board or 2 maybe.
Yeah, you don't want to go too early, especially with only being up by 1, then the Spartans have a chance to run back down and get that last second shot off, but you want to give yourself enough time to explore all the options to make sure that you get a good shot off the end. Yeah,
I'd agree as well. With about that 10-second point to go as well, it gives you the chance to get the O-board if you do miss that first shot, to get it back in again. If it goes in, best case scenario, you've got 6 or 7 seconds left. Spartans will call a timeout, and then you've got 6 seconds of tough defense down the other end, but I couldn't agree more. I think that's the only way to do it. Let's see how it pans out. Spartans playing some great defense straight away, taking a little bit of time to get the ball in. Michaela Cox, step back jumper, no good. Spartans coming down with the board and going straight away for the foul. 10 seconds to go. 75-74, still 1 point the difference. Spartans will go to the line.
Well, Brisbane got the look, Mackay got the look they wanted, and a pretty good shot. And from a clock management point of view, Arja, fantastic foul shooter. She missed 2 a minute ago, so who knows how she'll go here. But on the season, she'd be in the 90-something%. Shot the ball fantastically well. But even if she makes both, you're down 3 and you still have 11 seconds to get another good quality shot. So
exactly.
Game's far from over.
And they've still got a timeout in the bank as well. So if Arja Parham does make the second free throw, and like you said, 90% free throw shooter under pressure in the last couple of minutes, if she makes this one, Mackay still has a timeout to work out another play. So it is still anyone's game. And exactly that. So Parham makes the second free throw. 2 points down, we go back to Mackay. Guys, I raise the question again. 2-point shot into overtime, or do you take the 3?
Overtime.
You go for overtime?
Be safe, yep, get it into overtime. Both teams are in foul trouble. I think you got to get it in overtime and take your risk there rather than shooting the 3. Mackay has not been shooting the 3 well. Neither teams have been shooting the 3 particularly well as they can in this game. So I say you tie it up and then you look for the win in overtime.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, especially with Mackay as well. Sorry, Dan, I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay.
Especially on that as well. Like with the 3-point shot, Mackay hasn't been shooting all that well from 3-point land either. So I think you're 100% right. It's going to be important. They're shooting 7 from 18 and 38% from the 3. Much better percentages on the inside. Drawing the game, going into OT. Who do you think overtime advantages most in this particular situation, though? I feel like overtime is going to advantage Southern Districts more than it is Mackay. But I think you're right. I think you have to go for that 2-point play more so than the 3. Sorry, Dan.
Well, who knows? I think you're right about overtime when you get there. But I'd almost run the exact same set. But also remembering that Brisbane's in the bonus, as are Mackay. So if I'm Mackay coming out of this, I'd be trying to maybe, unlike the last position, turn the corner and put some pressure on the rim and give Willie and Payne a chance to O-board, but get Michaela Cox going to the glass and try and get the ball on the rim, get fouled maybe, go to the line. And if you happen to miss, you've got 2 of the best offensive rebounders on the floor crashing the glass. That's the look I'd be looking to get, but...
Yeah, so 8 seconds to go. The ball is in the hands of Michaela Cox. Nadine Payne, she goes for the win. Ball bounces out. Nadine Payne's 3-point shot, no good, and that is game. Game 1 of the Women's QBL Grand Final, 76-74.
It's a really surprising possession. Like, especially out of a timeout. It's a surprising look. I didn't expect. I thought they would have run something different, but anyway, the game's done, and what an awesome game it was. And low scoring, which suited Mackay, but Brisbane good enough to get a win as they've done all season.
Yeah, look, and there's a big smile on the face of Nadine Payne and Carl, Coach Carl from Mackay as well. Both look happy. So obviously they set up for the win. They wanted to go all or nothing. They know that they need to get that early victory to try and take it to game 3. So they're happy. That's what they wanted to play. It may be a surprising play, but they wanted that win, and it didn't quite work out for them here.
No, I agree, and I actually think this will give Mackay some confidence for tomorrow. I think down the line missing those 2 shots prove to them, hey, had we hit those 2 shots, we could have won this game. So while Spartans had a great game, Mackay had a great game, I think it's going to give Mackay a little bit of confidence going into tomorrow's game, saying, hey, we do these little things right, we fix these things tomorrow, we get the win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in terms of like the interviews we did before the game as well, when I was speaking to the coach, Coach Teskey was 100% adamant. He's like, we can take it to them, and we're going to win this in the 3. And I think you're exactly right. This is going to give them so much confidence. They came within 2 points in a grand final, opportunity to win against a team that's undefeated. I think Mackay is going to come in with a much better chance to win tomorrow night's game than the Spartans, because they're going to come in firing.
But equally, if I'm Brisbane, just to turn the table for a second, they're going to look at it and say, we didn't play very well. We usually score in the 80s or 90s. We only scored 76 and we still found a way to get a win. So I think both teams go home tonight feeling pretty good about their chances tomorrow, which simply means we're in for another good game tomorrow night.
Yeah, either way, there's going to be no complaints, whether it goes to another amazing game tomorrow night or it goes into the 3rd game as well. All games in this series, I think we couldn't have asked for a better grand final between 2 amazing teams and amazingly deep teams as well. So to quickly wrap things up as well, let's just run through some of the statistics that we've got in front of us as well. Both teams playing incredibly deep. Looking at Mackay first, every single member of the starting 5 hitting that double figures, as I said earlier on. Michaela Cox leading all scorers on Mackay on 19. Shavana Palvast on 13. Nadine Payne 15. Tammy Willie 13. And Jillian Horton on 11 as well. Amazing free throw shooters coming out of Mackay as well. All the starting 5 girls hitting pretty much 100% from the free throw. So really, really good shooting. And across the board, sharing the rebounds as well. All girls hitting 7 or 8 free rebounds as well, defensively and offensively. So an amazing rebound game as well from the girls. And then jumping up to the Brisbane Spartans. Really, really well spread too. Aja Parham only just managing to get in the lead to lead all scorers with 20 points. Beck Haynes in a close second on 13, with Kalani Purcell also tying on 13. Not to be outdone by any of the other girls on the court. Maddie Allen coming off the bench with 8. And rebounds-wise as well, Beck Haynes led all in that area on... Sorry, Maddie Allen led all on 9. Beck Haynes coming close with 9. So really well played across both teams, really well spread. I don't know how to predict tomorrow's game. I think Mackay is going to come out absolutely firing personally, and I think they'll take home game 2. But regardless, as you said, Dan, tomorrow's game is going to be another thrilling one.
Not much more to say, Regan. Brisbane haven't lost a game all year, found ways to win. A win's a win, ugly or not, and they won ugly tonight, but it'll be a good game tomorrow night, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely so. And we can't wait to bring you that game. Quickly before we go, we'll give you an update on the out-of-town scoreboard as well. In the men's grand final, Townsville is really drilling it home. 69 over the Mackay Meteors on 50 with 30 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. So Townsville really putting the pressure on Mackay at home. Another amazing game. So if you do have the time, guys, do tune in with John and his team up there. I think it's John and Dave Derman, our good mate, who's always on the call.
Happy birthday, John.
Oh, and it's John's birthday as well, of
34
course.
today.
Spending his birthday up in Mackay away from his family. Not the best place to be, but hey, it's basketball. He's probably loving it up there with DD. They'll have a fun time up there. Amazing game, guys, as well. Do tune into that men's game and tune in with us tomorrow night. Same time, same place. Jump on the Basketball Queensland YouTube channel, and we'll be bringing you the 2nd game, and hopefully it's just as amazing as tonight's. Got to quickly shout out to everyone that's helped me out. Jacob on the camera, Joel Baker on my production panel, Sid Parsons, Dan George, I've been Regan Baker. Thanks a million, guys. We'll be here tomorrow night as well for the 2nd game. Any final thoughts before we move on?
I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thanks a million, guys. Don't forget to tune in. And thanks again for watching your QBL Women's Grand Final, 76-74. The Spartans take home Game 1. This has been Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. We'll see you tomorrow night.